Hey, it's me, Big P. I wanted to do a quick video kind of putting a pin in the Chaos Spellslinger starter, which, long story short, has turned into just a Deaths of Auto Bomber, kind of, sort of. I still think just generally there's a ceiling with Chaos spell skills. Just in general, even with the buff, Death's Oath and stuff, that makes it very difficult to actually pull off. In terms of like T16. I mean, you can get it up to T16, and it's somewhat reasonable there. But we're at a point where juiced mapping is tier 16.5, tier 17 and beyond. Bossing is a component of that. I just don't really see a way for a traditional spellslinger or even self-cast, which we are now, occultist, to really get into. I will go over all of the gear pieces, specifically like upgrades like the Shaper Recover Life on Block Shield that we went into, and just some of the difficulties that we have had trying to make the Death's Oath work as best as possible. And you know, it's fine. Maybe my standards are just too high now, and I'm just too, you know, jealous of people who can run actually good builds. We are going to run a kind of shitty ambush. You see how I did this for progress and then beyond breach? This build really could not handle farming like big breaches and beyond as well, so I said fuck it, and we just went back to strongbox. So I'm just gonna put just whatever scarabs. I don't have a lot of scarabs, I don't have a lot of cash. Generally, I am investing in another build just because investing in this build just kind of felt like, you know, once I had 6-link the Death's Oath and it was still just like kind of like, man, I'm like, you know what, this is, let's give it a go. But I still want to showcase the build because I do like Death's Oath. It's a very fun play style. We are Brine King and Gruthkul, but it's not necessary. I don't think I'd really like to skip the boss. I was using Belfry for this because I wanted to skip the boss. It's a very slow boss that I don't mind skipping, and this has a lot of good feeble. Oh, the unique boss has increased life. I mean, that'll be a really good showcase of why I went into the other stuff, because I mean we're probably gonna take a death or two on that boss, to be honest. I mean, even just like a juice rare monster here and there. Yeah, so we have changed to self-casting Soul Rend, and a 6-linked Bane is in the Death's Oath, so we're kind of double dipping on some support gems. And that's about it. As far as issues that we've had, I think just a general issue you're gonna have. I forgot we had shield charge. This build isn't that bad. Shield charge is really the best thing, but long story short, I do think that it's better to just have Caustic Arrow pair it with the Death's Oath. They kind of complement each other pretty nicely. I can't really I shouldn't even be running this Delirium, but I do want to showcase, you know, that you're certainly not tanky, but the glancing blows, I think we're effectively max block for glancing blows. Does a little something for mapping, at least. Mapping and delve, which is basically all this build can do. And even mapping is generous. I mean, this is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. I've been leveling a new build, and I kind of just jumped back into it just to go over, you know, how this is gone. So, I mean, generally speaking, if I was, like, really juiced, and maybe if I had better cluster jewels, I could just run around like this. However, for rare monsters, you certainly should mix in a Bane, a Soul Rend. Soul Rend is nice for giving a little bit of recovery, although more of that is Divine Shield. I'll go over the tree as well after the map. Oh, look at all this. Let's try and pop them all real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay. I mean, that's what's the fun of Death's Oath is to me, you know, just popping a bunch of boxes. I ran a strong box on Jungle Valley last league, and I'm just looking for something else to run here. I think kind of leaning into either tier 17s or 16 and a halves. The play here. Don't think that a Chaos Occultist is up to snuff when we have stuff like what should I call it? Elementalist. You can do a really nice cast on crit setup. I just saw Lance just made a really nice video with that, so I'm gonna try something like that. Here we have the boss kill. I think, am I still running cast on Death Portal? Yes. That's how bad the overall has felt. In terms of like, damn, Really wish I could do some single target. You know, I don't have like a wither totem set up or really any way to get wither besides the withering presence, or whatever it's called on Occultist. Is that what it's called? Yeah, withering presence on Occultist. Not very consistent. There's way better ways to do it. You know, this isn't okay. We took a hit from a tier 16 boss, you know. Increased life, increased area of effect. We have reduced effect of non-curse auras as well, which is affecting vitality and malevolence. I was looking into things like petrified blood, but honestly, that's really more for like hybrid, true hybrid setups. We just kind of have a little bit of ES that ends up being recovered because of divine shield, which is kind of cool. Again, for mapping, but really the biggest issue has been the max hit for this build, especially the physical max hit. We've kind of solved it a bit by going down into the tree here. For glancing. I'll go over the full tree in a bit. The big thing was the shield. Recovered 5% of life on block. It's a pretty decent shield that I was crafted myself. And yeah, another thing is a lot of the damage is really contingent on like having something surrounding this, because like, you know, your damage over time is doing whatever it's doing right now, right? But you get little chunks when these guys explode. Let's see, boom, see, you couldn't really tell because it phased, but trust me, the difference between fighting a rare monster by himself and then fighting a rare monster that is surrounded by, you know, let's say a bunch of strong box monsters, it is night and day. It's a huge difference for the clear speed of the build and just the general damage that the build can do, which, as you can see, is nothing to write home about. Again, for a tier 16, for a chaos dot build, okay. I am happy with how it turned out. I just wish there was a bit more of a ceiling, because I mean, it definitely does seem like I did all of this just to have to respect if I want to run even later content. Was able to get my first 2 watchstones, which I have always said is for me the mark of a decent enough starter build. And I even was able to do like 1 or 2 of the memory map bosses, but I think those are at the quest state that like aren't that scary. So yeah. Really slows down the video when I choose to do the slowest boss on a non-bossing character, but again, I wanted this to be a true showcase of what's up. Get that epic ring. We keep going. And yeah, that's about it. You self-cast a soul rend. There's a lot of different permutations. I've seen a lot of different people. Honestly, most are just doing caustic arrow, which again I would probably recommend for general use. It's definitely not as tanky, but you're more mobile and you have better range. I do like having Soul Rend for some range, just to get another little bit of damage when you're just running around popping stuff. Here we go. Here's one of these. One of those. See, I mean, the pops are just real juicy. The build is basically made by the pops. Let's turn. So, being fair and true. And yeah, so for trash mobs, I mean, you just kind of run in, but then here's the rare mob. Now watch, see? The pops didn't do that much. A little bit more. Throw the Bane on them. There you go. So, you know, maybe for your standards and stuff, you know, you could do that in a different number of different maps. Again, I said I tried it in like a heavier Breach Beyond setup. It's kind of shitty. Didn't really go so well. Let's go over the tree real quick. That's the biggest thing that's changed. We've basically dropped off this whole thing. Am I really? I probably did this as a cheap anoint. There's probably way better ones. Like Growth and Decay is a little better just because I wanted a bit more regen and dot multi. We do have some cluster jewels that are pretty shitty. Just like generic ones. Vile Reinvigoration is not really the one I wanted. Root for Potency. They're okay. You can get better cluster jewels in. You really should be going for a double cluster jewel setup. I opted instead to kind of dip down here into Templar area, particularly once I got the Shaped Shield. If you look at the chance to block here, we're 76, max is 75, and then 78 with thanks to turning Tempest Shield into the build. Without Tempest Shield, that goes way down. So it's not true block, but recovery on block, recovering 5% of block when you block, as well as 6% extra PDR. Like, it's a pretty decent shield. Definitely something you can craft yourself. You just need to get a, I believe 86 is where you can get the tier 1 5% 5% of life when you block for Shaper, but you know, double check on Craft of Exile. I was also going for a Crusader shield, but because it had area of effect, but that'd be way harder to craft, and again, it's just not really worth it. You can throw something like this together for a couple dozen chaos, maybe a bit more, you know, if you have some bad luck. I did have really bad luck. You can alt spam, you can do Harvest Juice, Life Craft. Again, this is just a very basic. All that we're caring about is life on block, and everything else is just gravy. For the setup here, which lets us go into stuff like Sanctuary, get some shield block here, get Safeguard as well. And then were we in? No, we actually dropped Arcane Sanctuary because we didn't need it, or Mystic Bulwark because we are max spell block as well, which is pretty nice. Additional curse here, mana reservation efficiency of skills. So I did want to go over real quick. We are using both Temp Chains and Despair as the auras that we're using. I did want to use Bane. As you see, we have a Bane here in the actual Death's Oath, which is being supported by everything. It really sucks to have 2 dead links in your Death's Oath, I will say, because not only is Bane itself a dead link for damage of Death's Oath, but it also is for punishment. But after a certain point, you know, it's strong enough to do. You're kind of balancing a couple of different dot multipliers, or dot damage here, like the Soul Rend here, which we have up here. Soul Rend, Control Destruction, returning projectiles, and great GMP. This is just to like have like decent coverage. You could probably have like a single target setup that has like Void Benet and Swift Affliction or something like that. Way too lazy, and this build is not doing any fresh bossing at all. I was really lazy about upgrading a wand, and you can actually get much better than this. It's just I rolled plus spell and plus chaos, so I don't know how much this actually is. And then I threw damage over time multiplier on it. Like, this is at least 2 div, if not more. But it's not amazing. Again, you know, it is a bonus to be able to use shield charge with the wand, but just go for caustic arrow. It's a lot more streamlined setup, and the rest of it is just, you know, pretty much rare gear. I don't think I replaced a lot. I've like not wanted to. This is good enough for, you know, for big chunks of life and rarity. I'm just really lazy about crafting gear. Even just throwing like Eldritch Implicits at this stuff felt really bad, just because I just knew it deep in my heart that it's just like, this is just gonna farm maps. I will do a quick delve because that is another thing that this build is decent at doing. And we'll try and showcase some tankiness. Unless it's Rogue Exiles, I will quit out and end the video and then delete my YouTube channel because I hate Rogue Exiles. So for Delve, I mean, it is fast. Once you get everything popping, you just go run through. You can throw one here and there, but it is faster to just shield charge to the end, you know, and like kind of hunt the nodes for the bonus. Who's here? All right, so we're gonna try. This rare monster is making me. I don't know if we can do it against Devourers. They're kind of shitty because they. I did want to like stand still and see. Yeah, let's try it. Let's see, because it'll give the divine shield. Oh, it's 2 rare monsters. Now I gotta move. This guy's an asshole. Extra crits. Yeah, no way. But you know, just as a. Okay, here we go. Two rares. Nah, see, it's not enough. The divine shield. I barely have any armor, so divine shield is almost like a wasted point, arguably. It would scale much better as you get more armor, and it would just kind of bring your max it up a bit. And as you can see, with the dead links of damage for the Death, so we're only doing like 4 with life tap. It's 482, no 48 k damage per second. This debuff is 82. Does it go up? No. And then Bane itself, you know, you can't really go off your tooltip numbers. You never really should, especially considering like curse effect, increased chaos damage taken, shit like that. It all adds up to not be very good, though, I will say. Let me do like one of these things. This is at 83, right? Yeah, we're like 200 depth to delve. Once I swapped to Death Zone and had, I mean, even before then, even when this was still a spell slinger, those are the previous videos on this channel. It was, you know, it was alright. I just really wanted to throw on Death Zone as soon as possible, and I think next league I'd probably maybe consider starting a Chaos Spellslinger and then respec into another build I wanted to do. So the only issue with trying it here is that, yeah, the range kind of means that, like, it's better when stuff is melee, because then they're all, like, kind of grouped together and all explode together. But, yeah, you can kind of AFK it. Of course, then you throw, like, a Bane down here and a Soul Rend. Get chain stunned and die. Haste aura, crit resistant. Whatever. We'll take those. Okay, I guess we won't take them. I'll go over the links again real quick just so you can see. Blasphemy with Despair and Temp Chains. Frostblink, level 1 life, tap faster attack shield charge is just for movement. I should be leveling this because I do have a decent amount of strength. You need a decent amount of strength to put on Death's Oath, so much so that I had like strength gear in the backup since I needed to take this off, try and link it, fail to link it over and over. Cast on Death Portal, Epic Tech. I did forget to mention Enduring Cry on the left click, which kind of helps. Again, we're grasping at straws to get a max hit up, to get some sort of more physical damage reduction, to get a good build going, and I just don't think it's here. Malevolence, Vitality with Arrogance, so that we do get the +1 and here is Temp Shield as well. I am using the +1 to all max res if you have like reserve mana. I will say reserving some of your life when your max hit is not that big isn't a great idea. Can I get rid of this dex? No, I need that. Need the dex note there. It's kind of a sloppy tree. Like I said, you can get better cluster jewels, just better jewels in general here. But again, those are more expensive things that you would have to invest in to get just not as much bang for your buck with the chaos stat. So while I can recommend it if you're okay with like farming delve or lower level content in this modern PoE era, overall the Death's Oath it just still falls a little bit short. You should buff it by another 250 damage next league, and let's see. And then maybe I won't be stupid and force Bane into it and actually scale the Death's Oath with the cost of Kara. But for now, putting a pin in this, and we're going to invest in some other builds, probably. I am trying Mr. Connor Converse's mana Mjolnir shit. It's kind of awesome. Little clunky with the flask there. Oh, I didn't go over my flask. Again, these aren't great. This is a really nice flask for rarity farming. I will say this is a good build to like get a bunch of gold and delve. There's no gold penalty in delve anymore, which is nice. And then granite would be replaced if you, again, I had better armor. Like, I'm pretty sure the granite is better than the salt flask at this point. And then just speed over here. Corrupting Blood there. You can get CB immunity, but I figured because I'm, a life build, I'll have to run a life flask anyway, so I'm okay with it on the flask. It will build up quick if you pop a big CB pack or something like that, so just be aware of that. All those hits will be done to you at once. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything else. I mean, there's not. Let me just go over really quick the progression of wands I used, I guess. Which I've kept here. I don't think I kept the very first wand I used. It's kind of shitty. Maybe this was it. 74. Generally speaking, the only things that would matter is generic spell damage and chaos.multi. Here, a lot of times you'll find just generic.multi and craft chaos.multi or vice versa. Damage over time is then their affix you can do. This was kind of like a shitty one. I was probably using this for a lot longer than I should have. We did, again, once I got into maps 3 labs in, instead of going for Profane Bloom, I went for Obliteration, just so I could use Bane for a single target, which was okay. I would probably still do that again, just because Obliteration will get you up into red maps. By then, you should invest more in a wand that has something like this. Or again, this is like a div or two, but go ahead. You should drop a div or two on your weapon, especially if the dot multi is going to affect pretty much everything. I don't know. I know the plus gem levels doesn't work for Death Aura. I do think it's counted as a spell. I would need to double check PoE DB on that. I think like things like Aura Effect or something can scale it too, but again, I just don't think Death's Oath has a lot of the oomph to push into later without like insane investment, and even then you're still kind of just doing like mediocre damage. This is a game of seconds and inches, so kind of just like critting, freezing, shattering stuff, shit like that is just way preferable in terms of defensive auras. We've really kind of just jumbled a mess together here out of a starter build and had fun with it, made plenty of money, and not all of the Atlas progression here. I'm still missing 2 Watchstones. Like I said, I was able to do my first 2 on my own. I didn't have to buy carries. But I only have like 3 favored maps. The rest I've been doing with the other builds. So, your results may vary. Let me know if you've done any chaos damage tech. I know there's probably a lot of different stuff going on. Let me know if you've used stuff like Vile Bastion, which is very strong. That could maybe be part of a hybrid setup. Unfortunately, I think we're really kind of forced into stuff like Withering Presence, Propane Bloom, and Unholy Authority. Maybe we can drop Unholy Authority though, if I were to drop the Bane here and focus more on this. But I tricked myself into 6 linking this chest, so I gotta use it now. and that's where Bane sits, and that's where the build sits. So we'll upload the final POB, and you can still check it. I think it's uploaded to PoE Ninja. Let me know if you have any questions, if I failed to go over anything. I don't think I did. All this stuff is pretty bad anyway. Just check the POB, and let me know if you have any questions here. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye!